Call the meeting order of the Farmington Inland Wetlands Commission for July 10th. Let's Bruce to call the roll, please.
All right. Ned Snatchen,
Here.
Andre Simons, Rich Berlandi,
Here.
David Fox, Robert Eisner,
Here.
Neil Kelsey, Mark Simpson. I know he's there. Mark, are you there?
He's still
Dan
trying.
Poole. Let me get him in here too. Mark, are you there? Oh, he kicked out. All right, he was in and out, so we'll check back with him.
Okay.
Jay Doolin
I'm here.
and George Santos. All right, Chair, it's all yours.
Okay. All right, the first item on the agenda is Daniel Poulin, regulated activity within the upland review area for a shed.
He's under.
Is the applicant
I just forwarded
present?
He is, but I'm trying to get him promoted to panelist, so give me a second.
Okay.
If he doesn't, what we can do is, if you don't mind, we can maybe vote to shuffle it around and,
All right.
yeah,
While you do that, I'll welcome Jay Tulin back to the commission. Glad you could join us again.
Thank you, Ned, and don't make me have to be you again anytime soon. You're tough shoes to fill.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ned. Good to
Dan.
be back.
Sure.
It's good to be
Okay.
back. Thank you.
Dan,
Are you able to hear me?
is that you, Dan?
Yeah, it is. Dan
Yeah,
Pullen.
we got you. All right, you're first up. So go ahead. I'll put your presentation up.
Okay.
That's Spark Simpson. We're good. All right, here's your presentation right here.
Okay. So what I'm working on trying to get accomplished here is to add a shed to my property. Obviously, you guys are all aware that my home backs up to vernal pool wetlands, and the area that I'm going to be building in, or would like to request to build in, is I guess it's a protected area, but not within the wetlands. It's on the sort of the fringe peripherals of that. The shed size is going to be a 12 by 16 on a gravel base. The plans are there, obviously, what I'm going to be building in terms of structurally. That's going to be used primarily for deck furniture, other items that now have collected into my garage. In that particular area, I think there's some photos there as well. There's some stacks of wood and other things. So this center area is where I'm looking to build that. The area then would require a removal of a single elm tree that resides there. Is roughly 8 to say 6 to 8 inches, something like that in size. So that's what I'm requesting. I think that I've been a steward of the land. I've retained obviously everything that has been there previously with the wetlands. I'd like to remain keep in compliance with you all. Obviously that would require, unfortunately, removing one of the trees, but that's where we're at.
Okay. Bruce, is there a map of the property showing the 150-foot upland review?
The 150-foot upland review, this is roughly the property line, okay?
Okay.
So the wetlands is, he's within like 25 feet of the upland review. So if you come over to here, let me go back to the Wisteria Lane plan. This is what we used. So this is the wetlands that were found as part of Wisteria Lane. So this is the outer edge, and it's right up to the property line. So you come in and these pictures are looking, so there's Portage Cross, I'm in the back of the home, so looking north, Portage Crossing. So I'm gonna go clockwise. You can see the side yards here. This is where the shed's gonna go, and then the wetland is right through there. Dan, if I'm not mistaken, I think the property stake is somewhere right back here.
Yeah, it's into, so I probably have 15 or 20 feet of wetlands that is unusable on my property. So that's, it's approximate. I just sort of I marked it to be about 30 feet off of the property line of where I own, and probably 20 feet off the wetlands.
Yes, so those wetlands come right up to the edge of the lawn, which is right here. So you can see it through his whole backyard. It's right in here. So
Okay.
all right.
All right, and,
That help?
yes, thank you.
Okay.
And then it's kind of just, currently the applicant, you're gonna go in the area that's basically a mulch now.
Yeah.
I see the one tree you got putting down. And how deep is the stone gravel gonna go?
Whatever it would be to make it level. So I don't, if you guys have a recommendation, I'm obviously open to that. I was thinking, probably 3 inches on the left side, the lowest or the highest area, and then probably bring it up, maybe, grade it to level. So maybe 6 inches to the right-hand side, probably
Okay,
somewhere in that range. Yeah. But if you have a recommendation, I'm impartial to it. In the past, when I built my previous home in West Hartford, I just did it on cinder blocks, right? I didn't have a gravel foundation at all. So if you guys have a preference there, I'm happy to oblige.
I don't, I don't think we have any, Bruce, we don't have any specific recommendations on something like that, do we?
No, we don't. I mean, those, like I said, depends on the size of the shed, and it
Right.
depends on how long you're gonna be there. But I mean, 6 to 9 inches is plenty. Are you
Yeah.
gonna excavate the material out, or are you just gonna put the
No,
material
I don't
down?
want to. I really don't want to. Honestly, I like to leave everything just as is. I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of the slope is sloping towards the wetlands, right? So I want to retain that and just have it be the gravel to be just liquid pass through, right? That's what I'd prefer it to be, and no excavation.
Okay. All right, well, I'll go to the panel and see what questions they have. Robert Eisner?
Yeah, I don't have any real questions or significant concerns. Obviously, the wetlands are pretty close to the property and to the property owner. You already identified that there's a vernal pool in the wetlands behind your property, so just continued care and diligence so you don't have an impact is important. But I think a 12 by 16 shed in an area that's already cleared with the exception of one tree is still consistent with normal residential use. So I don't have any questions, and I'm not opposed to granting the permit.
Okay. Dave Fox?
Dave's not, yep, Dave's not here.
Oh, Dave's not here? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Dave, Andre, and Neil and George aren't
And
here.
George, okay. All right, Rich Berlandy?
I don't have any questions, so this looks pretty straightforward to me. Thank you.
All right. Jay Tulin?
No questions. I agree with everyone else. It seems pretty straightforward request.
Okay. And Mark Simpson, did we get him back?
He was. Mark? Something's wrong with his mic now.
Okay, well, he's good. All right. The only other question I could think of is, I heard you say storing like yard furniture in there. Are there any chemicals that are going to be stored in there?
In here.
Yeah, I don't have any I don't have chemicals of any kind. So
Okay.
yeah, so I don't fit in that.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about fertilizer. Is there anything? It doesn't have to just, okay.
No.
Bruce, if we ever put in a stipulation that there's no chemicals stored in the shed,
We've done stuff like that on larger,
yeah, this is, yeah, I know we've done it like on some of the
yep,
larger commercial
commercial
stuff.
stuff, exactly.
And, yeah, Trump, but I think it might be a little overkill here. All right, I see. I think it's a pretty simple, straightforward project. He's, he seemed to respect, the inland wetlands line and he's had. So I think I would support a motion to approve the application.
So moved by Robert Eisner.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second. This is Jay.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion passes. Oh, and Mark Simpson, is I on the screen.
You know.
Okay,
So for clarity, I think I owe the commission, or at least the town, some sort of notification that I would need to then put a public. Is there a public notification I need within 14 days if I read the application correctly? Is that
No.
accurate?
No, that was the other one. This is actually a 2 meeting process. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
really just accepting the application tonight,
Okay.
and then we're going to vote on the application at the next meeting. So
Okay. In the next meeting, just help me remind me that is it September at this point, or do we have another one
Nope.
in July?
24th.
Okay.
24th.
Okay.
So-
And is my presence required at the 24th, or is that you?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay.
It is so.
Very good.
All right.
Okay, I appreciate the understanding and look forward to getting together in a few
Okay.
weeks on that.
All right.
thank
All
you.
right. Have a good rest of your meeting, all.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, item number 2, show cause hearing, cease and desist for 17 Vine Hill Road.
All right. I think we have the applicant on. Let me shut some things off here. Gotta. All right, I'll start off, if you don't mind, George and Christian, just to give a little bit. Oh, sorry. What's that?
Andre Simons.
Oh, Andre's here. Andre, can you hear us?
On their attendees.
Attendees?
So his hand.
Andre?
Oh, yeah, he's coming in now.
Oh, okay.
No, it's fine. You heard it. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it when he popped in. So, all right, go back to here. He'll pop in when he hears us.
Hello. Sorry
Here we
about that.
go.
My Zoom was updating.
No problem.
No problem.
Okay. So,
Just for the record, I did watch the video clip of the previous meeting on June 19th.
okay. Thank you, sir. So a little bit of history. This is all included as part of the application. 17 Vine Hill Road is here. It's towards the end of Vine Hill up on the hill. Some of you were here for this, but it was for the construction of a new home. Okay. This new PDF we have is horrible. Just bear with me. All right. So it started off as a construction of a new home, okay, on an old vacant lot. Here's the wetland. Here's an intermittent water course, was the only wetland shown on the property in this location. At that point, they wanted to have the driveway down on the lower end and come up through here to the home. Subsequent to this application, after it was approved, the owners decided they wanted to do something a little different after speaking with their contractor. So they came back and came in with a plan for, they then wanted to come in, I apologize, they wanted to keep this, fix this driveway a little more, and then expand the yard out towards the back. There is a wetland off the property. So being that it was in the 150-foot upland review and for the clearing, they came back for another application, right? That was approved as well. That was in 21. And then after they came back, after that, they then discussed with their contractor on other options, and they ended up coming in with a different driveway plan, okay? And that was this plan here, okay? So what it did is the driveway used to come in from down here. They then switched it to move it to the upper spots. Since all of the work, this line is out, since this clearing line was outside the 150-foot upland review area, a permit was not required. So they, through the building permit process, built the driveway here, finished the home, did all the work here, all per the permit process. We were in the, go ahead.
Just quickly, was that does that line up where the driveway was? Because I remember the driveway was.
The driveway was down here, yeah, it was like right
Well,
down here.
no, I mean, there's proposal. When we went to the site visit, there was a driveway that was kind of
Oh,
cleared.
yes, yes, it was. That was the driveway they had used to do some test pits on the property for the septic system. They had cleared a
Okay.
lot through there. I think they came in informally with you
Yeah, they had
guys.
some great, they had some stone down
Yes.
and,
Exactly.
yeah, okay.
So subsequent to that, you're in the area. And seven. There we go. So as we said, subsequent to that, they came in and we were in the area, and this area was all wooded at the time. So this was all cleared. All the understory was cleared. There was some trees or some smaller trees that were cleared. And they had cleared all along the frontage of their Vine Hill Road from where the driveway was supposed to be down here, all the way up. There's the intermittent water course.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
the house. The driveway was supposed to come in over here, run
Yeah.
up through here and go to here and all along here. So we had since made contact with the owner, issued a cease and desist, gave him some options or gave him a list of state certified soil scientists. They had since contracted with Rima Ecological, which is Georgia Logan. He's on the line here. So we met on Monday of this week to go over erosion control. Since that time, there we go. Since that time, the erosion control has been installed. All right. So there's straw wattle along here. Up all along the road. They put a couple check dams in to protect the brook here, or the intermittent water course. There's straw wattles through here to minimize erosion. All right, and I got one more picture that as of today, they were out there putting in hay bales and additional straw wattle down here to protect these areas where the flow is being concentrated. So they had taken care of that. I emailed you guys. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, it was late, but sometime around 2 o'clock, I emailed everyone a plan from Rima Ecological showing a restoration plan. So I do have that here, and I do have George here, and George can walk us through it. Are you there, George? He was there.
I am indeed.
All right. So let me get
so-
things here.
Again, George Logan, Rima Ecological Services, certified soil scientist, professional wetland scientist. So the pictures, let's start with the pictures.
Oh, that's our pictures, okay?
Yeah, I guess. So I took a few pictures just to memorialize the fact that I was out there on 2 dates. Monday was the first one, and then I was there the previous week, first to kind of check things out. I forget the first date. So Monday was the 8th.
Eighth,
I was there on July 3rd, during which time we discussed what immediately had to happen, which was erosion and sedimentation. We needed to get the temporary SED controls up. And so that's what happened Monday. And then I understand it continued today. So this first picture kind of shows you the drainage swale. This is not the regulated intermittent water course that Michael Klein had delineated. That starts, as I say here in this picture, at those two trees, just at that. And it's about 60 to 65 linear feet. It goes all the way down to the road, and then there is supposed to be a pipe there that leads the water to a catch basin, which is then part of the drainage system. Pipe was nowhere to be found when I first got out there, so we understood that what happened is the swale in the intermittent water course actually captured some sediment. So there is some sediment that has concentrated within the pre-existing channel of the water course. Of course, I wasn't there before, so I can only assume that that's what happened, and that sediment buried the pipe. Second photograph there, it shows you that, and this is something that Bruce gave us a little more information on. That when the construction of the site took place, there were two little, shall we call them siltation basins that were constructed. Here's one, and then there's another one in the backside that I also looked at. That seems to be doing fine. There's a swale that's just off to the right that collects a portion of the water from one slope of the site and then brings it down here through the drainage swale and then hits the intermittent water course. If you go further down on the pictures, this shows you what we were looking at on Monday when the crews were out there starting to put down. And then the final picture that I did is I just looked the other way. So this looks in a southeasterly direction of the siltation pond. And I do have a little bit of a plan for that. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I would have to use the as-built plan and overlay it on the other plan, which was the approved plan, to see if the siltation basin was at least in part within the 150 upland review area. It might be wholly outside of it or maybe a part of it. I don't know. I just assumed if you look at the next plan of where I thought it was, I saw it was a little conservative, showing, a third of it or so, or half of it within the upland review area. All right, so we have a couple of phases that I've proposed for the restoration of, and this is the watercourse and upland habitat restoration plan. It's simplistic. I didn't get into too much detail, but I think it's quite obvious what would need to happen. Zone A, well, let's back up. The first phase is we need to take care of erosion. What I put in my report is, as you probably all know, the soils here are the Weathersfield or Ludlows, or these either a loam or a silt loam. It has a high fraction of stone, which is actually a good thing, but they're highly erodible. And so there's a lot of fine fraction, red soils. And so we need to take care of business, or we might have a problem with a neighbor down the street. So we said we had to put some straw wattles along the perimeter and then reinforce them with the hay bales at a certain points. And this was Bruce's contribution. Thank you, Bruce, of putting those two hay bale, if you will, sections at where we've sensed that the water is going to concentrate. In addition to the wattles, we also put this other north-south on the west side of the brook wattle to protect the brook. And so what is being recommended here is that we put some hay bale check dams, and those I believe have been placed, if not exactly in those locations, certainly close to those locations, all the way, including the drainage swale, all the way to the pond, because the pond has an outlet, obviously. And as you can see, the water is pretty silty there. And it's been like that for a bit. And then the other thing that we said we would do as part of phase one is the creation of a plunge pool and unclogging of the pipe. I think that would be a good idea. Maybe there was something there before, but obviously it's covered. So let's start with the fact that we need to get the water to the catch basin and let it not go over to the road. And so we're proposing something like a 8 by 10 or 10 by 10 plunge pool in that location. We talked to the contractor. I believe he understood what he needed to do. It would be stone lined. Then the other thing that I proposed, again, as part of phase one, which would be done now, is within the water course, is to remove the sediment that has accumulated and reconstitute a little bit of the swale that was there. That you can still see it, the channel that was there, but it's been somewhat compromised. And there was water, by the way, flowing there, at least during the first time that I was there. That was after a rainstorm. You can kind of see a little bit there. So again, a part of phase one, as I said, remove the sediment deposits within the intermittent stream channel. And I suppose all that would have to be done through some supervision by myself, at least in initial phases there, to be sure that we're following the plan. And then seeding the entire exposed area. So everything you looked like red exposed soil, seeding that with annual ryegrass. So that means we'll have quick germination, usually from annual ryegrass, and that will not last, much of it will not last for the second season because we have another plan for the second season, if you will. And then laying on top of that, a fine layer of weed-free straw mulch. Now, one thing that I forgot to include in the plan, which would be something that we might consider, because these soils, they can be fertile. Obviously, they are fertile. There's a lot of phosphorus exposed right now, but they are kind of bony in the sense that there's a good fraction of stone in them. And if you can see some of the trees that remain there, the large diameter trees were not taken down, which I'm glad to see. So we have shading overall the entire area, and you have some pitch pines. And pitch pines obviously denote that this is the Weathersfield soil we're talking about, which is, it can be kind of droughty in certain times. So pitch pines don't like wet areas, as we understand. And then in order for us to make sure that it might be, and this was a situation that we were talking, yes, maybe we do it, maybe we don't, is to provide what I would call a top dressing of about 1 inch or 2 of good quality topsoil. Again, it wouldn't compromise what's going on here, but it would make sure that we have a good media for quick germination, not only during this temporary phase, but also in the fall when we're planning to go into phase 2. The other thing that was indicated by the property owner is that he would be more than happy to set a couple of those irrigation heads, the ones you'll see there on tripods, usually elevated some. It's got plenty of good pressure here, and to irrigate this whole area on a daily basis for 7 to 10 days until we see green popping up, and then intermittently after that until we get to the fall when we would be doing the permanent planting. So going back to the plan, discuss a little phase 2. So I have the phase 2 on the plan would be indicated by 3 zones. There are approximately 16 feet across, as you can see, on both sides of the intermittent watercourse and the swale, going all the way down to the outlet of the pond. The first one, zone A, would be one that we would seed with the same seed that we would use for zone B, but also we would have some shrub plantings, which I will show you in a bit. One of the things that I was able to do as I went through, there was obviously some resprouts happening from the vegetation because there was not a lot of grubbing that took place here. The minimal grubbing actually. So things are popping again. And so I was able to look and see that there were a certain species of plants that could give me an indication of what we could plant back in, plus diversify it a little bit. So that would be the zone. And we have, I think, 55 or 56, and I'll show you the table in a bit, or Bruce will, of the planting materials that we're proposing. That will be seeded by a combination of 2 seed mixes. And the reason I'm doing that is because we have shade. So I needed to be sure that we have a good meadow. But the second zone, again, another 16 or so feet, will be a permanent meadow that we would establish, and then that would be only cut once a year, either say late June or early November, no closer than 4 inches to the ground. That was the specification, so that we can keep promoting the vegetation there. And 2 seed mixes, both of them you probably heard before from New England Wetland Plant Sync. One is called the New England Conservation Wildlife Mix, and I've included those as part of the report. And the other one, the New England Semi-Shade Grass and Forbs Mix, and do that in a 1-to-1 ratio. So we have a couple of pounds of one and a couple of pounds of the other, and that would help both Zone A and Zone B. Now, this will be happening late September or so, past Labor Day, obviously, when we're starting to get rain again, for both the plantings to take place. And then what the property owner would like to do for Zone C is to establish a lawn that he would maintain. We discussed of how that would be done, and the landscaper said that once, you know, the annual rye will not be an issue, that he can come in and lay down seed in those areas through the cutting technique, where you come back down and you create a small little furrows with a machine, and you can put the grass in. You've seen that. I've seen that in my backyard also. There's probably another terminology that I'm forgetting, but utilizing seed mixes that are tolerant to shade and semi-shade, which is what is happening here. Now, one thing that I also proposed is to do a little something with the pond. If you go back and look at the picture of the pond, oh, by the way, let's look at the shrubs here. Table 1, 56 shrubs, kind of native shrubs that you would expect there. You see some that are a little more of the wet habit, and some a little more of the upland habit, and some are in between. When I looked at what was popping up, I did see some American hazelnut, and I did see some spice bush. And there might have been other things that I did not see come up. So at least I know that we had one dry spectrum kind of plant and then a wet spectrum plant closer to the brook. So these are the shrubs. Now, if you go to the picture of the pond.
Let me go to mine, if you don't mind. Mine's a nice,
Yeah, sure. Did you take a picture of the pond? I don't.
Yeah, I did. I'm just trying to look. This is the 7. I'm just taking the wrong. We were up there so many times. I'm trying to remember which day I was up there. Here we go.
There we go. So the pond is kind of, obviously was developed for the main purpose of acting as a siltation basin. And apparently and Bruce can tell you more about it, there was a little more than that to it, where there was some sandy media that were put down into it to promote infiltration. But obviously over time that is kind of clogged up. So now you have a pond. I'm told that it's about 3.5 feet deep on average. And the slopes are pretty, shall we say, abrupt. You can't really see the one that's in front of you because we're looking on the other side, but you can see the far one on the far left. So the idea there was to relax this slope by basically creating a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 slope going back, keep the same invert elevation going out. So relax the slope, establish more of a permanent outlet, and put some stone there so that we don't have erosional problems. Remove any of the accumulated silt that's there, and then take that away from outside of the 150 foot upland review area. Obviously, make sure that it's stabilized and protected. And then that would allow us to create sort of an emergent zone around the pond. Some of it is already trying to create itself. You see some plants beyond those big rocks that you see there. There's a little bit cattail, some soft rush, some other things, some sticktites that are coming in, and come up with a plan, which I haven't come up with, of doing some hydrophytes that are will like this kind of emergent zone, kind of a marshy area, if you will, that have some aesthetic appeal and some wildlife pollinator appeal also. Things like blue flag, Joe Pye weed, maybe even some cardinal flower. That'd be nice. So that's the idea for that. And again, I wasn't sure to what extent that was within the purview of the commission, because I'm not sure how far this pond is within the 150 or not. I couldn't tell that. So that's kind of running through what we're proposing to do. And again, one thing that I didn't say in my report, which kind of comes standard, and I guess sometimes when I always recommend it, I sometimes forget about it, and that is that both the initial parts of phase 1 and the initial parts of phase 2 will be supervised by myself.
Okay, thank you, George.
You're welcome.
I will start, any questions from the panel? Dave Fox?
Dave's
Oh,
not
I
here.
keep forgetting Dave.
No problem.
Robert Eisner.
George, thanks for that overview.
You're welcome.
Bruce, yeah, Bruce, can you put up whatever plan best shows the limits of the wetlands? I know there was the intermittent water course, but I just want to
One of these
get
probably
a
right
better
here.
feel for
This one.
how much, yeah.
This was the original survey. So there's the catch basin at the road, the flared pipe, and then there's the intermittent water course. So
Okay, so there's no mapped wetlands on the property.
no, the wetland scientist had only flagged this area right here with the intermittent water course. So you see the flag numbers
Hmm.
right here. So
Okay.
1 through 4.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was just concerned. I didn't want phase 2 to convert any mapped wetlands into
Okay.
a maintained lawn. So that's it for my questions.
Okay. Rich Berlandy?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Andre Simons?
Yes.
Do you have any
Okay.
questions?
Yes, I have only one question. I heard that the pipe was filled with sediment. Is that being cleared or what is going on with that? I might have missed it in your presentation. There was a lot.
Sure. I'm sorry. A lot of moving parts. So yeah, one of the things that would happen during phase 1, that little pipe is nowhere to be seen because it's buried by sediment that has reached here, whether it was right. So the idea there is we need to find the pipe and we need to create a little bit of a rock line plunge pool to receive that water and direct it to the pipe so that we don't have overflow of sediment to the street. So yeah, that's one of the primary things that need to happen.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Jay Tulin?
I was muted, sorry. I don't have any questions. I just have a thought. And again, I may be overthinking like I did at the last meeting and maybe jumping ahead. I guess I'm just kind of wondering, jumping ahead a little bit, being that there is a plan now exactly, and you'll probably get to this, exactly what action, if any, we are able to take tonight. Otherwise, I have no questions.
Okay. Mark Simpson had, and I kind of have a similar question about how is the lawn going to be maintained? And I'll throw in my question along there with it, is that it looks like from what he cleared, that there is a large increase in, maintained lawn area as opposed to, it looked like on the plan, it looked like there was going to be more of a left wild condition area. I mean, if I look at the as-built for 17 Vine Hill Road, I mean, it's got a brush line here, a bush line going on. Yeah, that. And now it seems like all that bush line is gone, and he's gonna have maintained lawn in that area, where, you know, it wasn't a maintained lawn before.
Yeah, that's a legitimate question and something that I thought about. I think what I try to do here is to look at the resource. So the resource is a fairly low quality intermittent stream, which, you know, it is an intermittent stream. No one's going to argue with that. Does receive groundwater discharge because it's, you know, that's where the water wants to pop out, close to it. So it's groundwater fed during certain parts of the spring, which that's why it's an intermittent stream. If it was just a surface flow drainage swale, then we'd say no dice, it ain't a regulated area. I think that's what Michael Klein might have done. So I looked at that and said, what do we need to do to protect the function or restore the function of this regulated resource? And which is why I came with that dual zone, which I think honestly is, you know, if it's done according to the plan, maintained properly, it will be a net enhancement to what was there before. Realizing that there were a lot more vegetation further to the left and to the right, which, by the way, did include a lot of invasive species, including Morris honeysuckle, multiflora rose, and Japanese barberry, and garlic mustard, and probably other things too. So I think what we're proposing from protection of long-term protection of the resource is a good match, even though I understand that there was other vegetation, understory vegetation, and some mid-story vegetation that was taken down in the overall area.
Yeah, I don't know. We seem to have, like, when people go through these and just do what they want, part of their construction project, and then they come back and say, oh, well, we can, you know, we'll get the soil scientists, we'll do a restoration plan, but it's never really restored to the way it was. And it seems to me like there was a lot more natural forest, you know, area in this than and I think he wanted a lot more lawn, and so now we're going to give him a lot more, you know, maintained lawn, and that's not what was there. I think maybe we should look at, you know, making zone B a little bit bigger, and not have quite as much, you know, cut maintained lawn there. I mean, if it's going to be a restoration, and it should be restoration to try and get back some of what we had in regards to a natural quality. I don't know. Maybe just run it by the owner and see what they think. Because it just seems to me that we're not restoring here. We're, you know, he clear cut and he planted grass, and we're, you know, except for you know, 40 feet or so, we're going to give him what he wanted to do with this clear cut area. And I just think we should try and have a little bit more that, you know, goes around to the intermittent stream, and you know, just to surround the, you know, this area that goes from the pipe at the end to from the overflow from the pond, that maybe we can make that a little bit bigger. So I would just ask you to talk to the owner and see if they can make that a little larger.
Well, I can certainly do that, but what I'd like to hear is what maybe some other comments that the other commissioners might have. And also just to point out again that from a wetlands perspective, what you're trying to do is to restore the function of the stream and to protect the long-term function of the stream. And as a professional wetland scientist, I'm telling you that what we're proposing certainly not only does that, but in my view, is going to be a net enhancement, because all that corridor is going all the way down to this little pond, which wasn't there before, which in itself is going to be a, shall we say, a nice little resource. And my guess is, and this is why I didn't stop at the stream, that because we have altered the property with a permit properly, with, you know, there was woods obviously outside of the upland review area. We have a slight increase of water flow to the swale. My guess is that the swale over time will become a regular resource. So this is just my opinion as a scientist, and I'd be happy to do two things. First, hear what maybe some other commissioners would have to say, and then certainly I can talk to my client and see if we can do a little more than what we're showing here.
Okay. Does anybody have a comment on the limits of the restoration?
Andre Simons did have his hand up.
Yes,
Oh.
so from a restorative point, I understand it's great that those invasive species are being removed. And the trees are still there, but for the root system that was holding all of the sediment that was above it, I understand you have like different phases for grass and whatnot, but is that comparable to what was there beforehand in terms of retention for like the root system and keeping sediment where we have known it to be effectively?
Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate question. That's why we're doing it in phase 2, 1 and 2. The one is the temper sedimentation, so we don't have any sediment moving down to the stream and then out off the property. Now, one thing that I did note, which is a plus, even though these are understandably erosible soils with fine fracture, is there's a significant pore, and it's actually, if you look at the soil maps, it says that. Very stony Weathersfield. It's an 88 if you look at the ID for it. And so that helps. If this was without the fraction, it would be worse. So that's good. We're putting down the grass seed to quickly stabilize so we don't have any movement of soil off property. We're putting the mulch. And one of the things that I was intimating that it might not be a bad idea to put a top dressing of good quality topsoil before we do all that, now that the erosion sedimentation controls are in place, so that we can have a much better, quick stabilization. Now, if you look at the literature, obviously, and I don't know exactly what was here before, the roots are deep. Many of them are still there, and the ones that are have senesced, if you will, because of the removal of the understory, did do something to stabilize. I understand that. But in the flip side, putting grass cover over the whole thing is just as good in protecting the soil than what was there before.
Okay, and then I have a compounding question on that. So you said that you expected the swale to become a regularly used resource. Are you predicting, or is the landowner predicting that swale pipe would have to be increased in size because of increased flow at any point in time? Just as a follow-up question.
I'm not an engineer, so I can't tell you. I could run a calculation, but I don't know if it would be accepted by this commission to figure out if the pipe, which I believe is a 12-inch.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so. I think it says 12 up there. So it's a 12-inch. There's not a tremendous amount of a watershed here.
yeah, it's 12-inch.
And my thought is that a 12-inch is more than sufficient, especially if we're able to create this little plunge pool, which will make sure that we have a little bit of a head going on, which might actually help the pipe. Now, oops, go back where you were, sir.
I'll go back
I
to
wanted to
that.
see what the slope of this thing was.
What, of the pipe?
Yeah, I think it has a good pitch.
Yeah.
So
I don't
it has a
think,
good,
just to kind of highlight on that, Commissioner Simons, I don't see it being a problem increasing, or, in terms of pipe capacity. I don't think it would, I don't think it would be
see
a
that
problem.
either.
You're 393 so you got let's say 2 feet in 10 feet, so you've got plenty of pitch, you know.
You've got plenty of pitch. So that thing is gonna be effective and taking, the water is taking down plus a little more.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair, if you don't mind, I have a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
I had looked at this just quickly too when George had sent it to us. But what kind of plan would you have to kind of delineate this outer zone B?
Are you trying to guess my thoughts now? What's
No, because I'm looking at that saying if someone's gonna mow this, where's this line gonna be?
I was thinking of that, and I didn't know exactly where the commission might go with this, so there might have been a revision for this plan. There's two ways of doing it. And you've heard me use these things before. One is to put line up some shrubs at critical places, like maybe 3 places on each side where they line up. And you know, if you cross between the lineup of the shrubs, that would be one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, and or combining the two, which I've done in other places, is to doing little sections like 8 foot to 10 foot split rail fence. So you do one down low, you do one in the middle, you do one up, or maybe just 2. So you line those up, so that you know that if you pass that theoretical line between these 2 sections, you're in danger zone. So you know to limit your mowing to that outer zone. Obviously, you need to be able to get in there because the recommendation is for that meadow to be mowed once a year, June or November.
Okay. And I know that Commissioner Belandi has his hand raised, so I just want to ask one more thing, just kind of overview for the commission. I know we got this plan late in the day today, so what I'm hoping that we could do is come up with an approval for the temporary. So hopefully maybe get the temporary seating done now. And maybe the commission has more time to get into this report, read it, and then maybe we could address it at the July 24th meeting. Because I think based on what we have here, I think we do have time, because as George said, we wouldn't be looking to plant this until like late September. So we don't meet in August. If we have to schedule a meeting for this, we can. But at this point, if we get something, the temporary approved tonight, and the permanent can either get approved the 24th or the first meeting in September. So that's kind of where my head is now with this.
Okay, well, let's clarify that, and then what be the immediate, temporary work? You talking about like doing the plantings in zone A and B, or?
No, George had said zone A, B, and C. So A, B, and C, this whole area would be seeded with a perennial rye. Or sorry, annual rye.
Annual rye.
Would be seeded with an annual rye. Owner has agreed they'll put some tripod irrigation out there to get it so it'll stick. That's my number one priority, is that pond. We had put that pond in upstream because of this reason. It's very highly erodible. The silt that comes off the site, it is so tough to manage. It does not settle out when you put it into these ponds, but that was all we could do. So that's my intention, is to immediately get this thing seeded, so it'll start growing this month and then August. So hopefully by the time we're ready to go in there in September, then we can take care of all the other items. So.
Okay. Rich Berlandi, you had your hand up, and then Robert.
Yeah, the question I had for George, I seem to remember when we were out here back when this house was first being proposed, we kind of walked up through that intermittent water course, and it seems like it's kind of rutted and kind of unstable to my eye. Is there anything that you're proposing that would stabilize that intermittent stream course?
Very good question, and I'm glad you brought it up because I had forgotten about this completely. When Bruce and I and the contractor and the property owner are up there. There you go. What we remembered is that there was a temporary check dam that was put up there during construction, and that has kind of fallen apart a little bit. So the idea would be to be reconstituted as part of rehabilitation of the stream and removing the sediment from it. And then earlier today, when Bruce was asking me exactly that question, I responded and I said, "Oh yeah, you're right. We talked about this in the field, completely forgot it." And the idea will be, so we have 60 feet. The plunge pool will be just in front of this picture. The existing check dam is at the top of the stream, so that can be reconstituted, cleaned up, and that can maintain there. And then the idea would be to put a smaller one midway, well, another little stone check dam, kind of naturalistic, in the midpoint, so around 30 feet, say, from where we're looking. Yep. And I think that will be more than enough to kind of quiet the flows as it goes down, and then it goes over, so we don't have erosive forces. And that will be a good thing, because, if we're going to spend the effort to reconstitute this little stream, we need to protect it for into the long term, especially the transition phase.
Okay, Robert?
Yeah, first, Mr. Chair, I want to flag that Mark Simpson has added a couple of comments in the chat. His first comment was asking how the new lawn is going to be maintained. For example, our fertilizer is going to be used. And George, as you know, we do like to see the use of integrated pest management. So that was Mark's first comment. And his second was noting, I think this is agreement on the temporary planting in annual grass, or temporary planting of the annual grass. So those were through Mark. And then I just had a couple of comments that I wanted to add in. Mr. Chairman, I agree with you that in terms of increasing the zone B, it's probably better to have some additional area. There was quite a bit of additional clearing that was done that wasn't anticipated with the initial development. So I think that enhancement plan would be worthwhile. And George Logan, I appreciate the offers that you have, because I think it would be important to not only expand it, but to delineate it. And I would probably favor a natural vegetative marker versus a fence, a staggered fence, but that would really be up to the property owner. And then Bruce, I agree that I think for action tonight, moving forward with the temporary phase 1 measures to help stabilize the site would be appropriate. And I'd like to hold off on phase 2 approval to give staff more time, but also the commission more time to review what came in today. And those are the end of my comments.
Thank you. Jay?
So you'll forgive me again, refamiliarizing myself and maybe overthinking things. Procedurally, I totally get the significance of doing a temporary approval. Do we have to do something to remove the cease and desist before we can do that?
Yes, we'll take care of, yeah, we'll definitely take care of that on our side. Once this gets approved, we could then issue a letter or a notice that per the approval, you're allowed to go with phase 1, which will be a temporary, which will be a seeding of an annual rise. So.
Okay, I kind of figured that, but I just wanted to make sure I understood how the procedure works. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you.
Now, I do have at least one partial answer to Mr. Simpson's question on, I don't understand the second one, but the first one I think I understand. That was the question about the fertilizer. We don't need any fertilizer for establishing either the temporary or the permanent grass cover here, because there's one thing that I know about Weathersfield soils is they got tons of phosphorus, and that's what you need for initial germination and of course for root development. But before now and the next time, I will ask the maybe the person who's a little more of an expert, who's the contractor landscaper, what his ideas are for not doing fertilization here in a shaded area in these kinds of soils. I have some ideas, but I want to hear from him, see if he has some experience himself, and then we'll we'll discuss that at the next time.
Okay. Just, I'm looking at the contours. So from where the streamline is, or the temporary streamline, everything to the left of that is draining down to that waterway. But then on the other side, some of it is going to drain naturally down, and then I don't know, depending on how this is, a landscaped, some will drive down to the stream, and others will just flow off naturally to the east, I guess.
Yep.
Is that the plan? Or because what I'm thinking of is, I mean, the maintained lawn has a much higher runoff coefficient than the natural forest bottom, and so you're gonna get more water, and I think you're gonna get more water in this. And like you say, I think it could be an interim flow could probably become more frequent, I think, with a lot more grass planted here. I don't know, that's just my thought. But yeah, I'd be interested in hearing what the professional landscaper says about, trying to delineate between the zone B and the zone C, and how we can, try and keep that maintained, the difference maintenance operations that have to go on with that, see how that works. But, I'm fine with, approving phase 1 of this plan so we can start planting and get rid of the bare soil there. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
so, yeah, excuse me?
This is
Somebody
Rich.
else?
I'd agree.
Okay,
with doing the temporary mitigation.
all right. So, I'll entertain a motion to approve phase 1 of the restoration plan according to the plans.
So moved.
This is Rich, so moved.
All right. Oh, we'll approve by, or we'll take by Rich, and then Andres the second.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve phase 1 of the restoration. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Mark Simpson is an aye for the record. And so the motion passes.
Perfect.
And so do you think we can approve phase 2? I mean, you'll show us something to approve further restoration, or should we, I mean, otherwise we go till September. Are you gonna try and come back with more for the next
No.
meeting on the 24th, George?
Certainly. I mean, I'll talk with with my client. I have some ideas. There's some things that we basically agreed we need to do, like the little extra stone check dam and delineating the zone, outside of zone B. I have some other ideas too that I want to pass by my client. Maybe increasing the zone to some extent, and then get something to you and be able to discuss it hopefully by the next meeting.
All right, very good. Thank you, George.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, a planner's report?
No, we got the cease and desist for 1509. There's no update on that. Want to just remind everyone on that one where that keeps going. Planner's
Right,
report. I do have a handful of items that came in, and I'd like to just bounce them off to you. Give me a second. I just got to close everything out here. Wow, that's a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, item 3 was cease and desist on
No problem.
1509 Farmington Ave. So you said there's no change in that?
No change at this point.
Okay.
All right. Oh, no, what I do with them? I don't see them in here. I just had them all set up. Give me 1 second, all right? If you guys want to skip over to the minutes, go ahead. Sandy can
Okay.
take care of that for me.
regards to the June 19th meeting, I would like to thank Robert Eisner for filling in his chair. And with that said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 19th.
So moved by Eisner.
Seconded.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mark Simpson's got a so moved too, so we'll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. I'm gonna abstain since I wasn't at the meeting. Thank you.
And Mark typed aye.
And Mark typed aye. Do you have your planners report yet?
Nope.
No.
He's working on it.
Okay.
I think it's coming. He's coming.
I apologize, I copied them to the wrong folder.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. First, these are both for winding trails. All right, let me zoom in on the map here. If you recall, you guys had approved the boat ramp or the boat. Yes, thank you. The boathouse a few years ago. That's been built and constructed. That's right over here. Okay, off the back, they had put a pressure treated boat or a pressure treated dock, like a ramp where they can drag the boats up off the water and get them up on here.
Yeah.
Right. They've been having a lot of problems with it. The pressure treating decking is starting to split. And as part of that, it's injuring a lot of the kids. Their feet are getting some big slivers. So they actually put a rug over it. So there's a rug. So here it is right here. This side of the way. So here's the boathouse. There's the existing pressure treated wood deck. What they're looking to do is they're dropping it down from, let's see, the boat dock is anywhere from 38 to 61 feet off the water, depending on which corner you measure from. The current deck is 14 feet wide here, and they're looking to just go with an 8-foot concrete deck. All right, so they want to pour and go to an 18-foot concrete deck. So here's one of the pictures. This is the carpet they have over the pressure treated decking.
Okay.
All right, and then the other photo here's the other one. Again, big load, 14 feet. They just want to knock this down to 8 foot, but they had to cover it with the carpeting because it's splitting and causing a lot of problems with them. So that was one item. I said I would bring it up to the commission. I felt that they already had approval for this. They already have approval for this, possibly just knocking this down to an 8-foot concrete sidewalk area probably wasn't going to be a problem. And I thought I would just review it with the commission first.
Yeah, I don't think that requires our action. I mean, they already have a deck there. They're just changing the material.
And they're making it smaller too.
And actually making it smaller, right?
Yeah.
So,
and because it's along the beach and next to the water, I don't want to make any decisions for staff. I definitely want to make sure that the commission is aware of it, because I don't want anyone down there wondering what's going on.
what is their plan for a schedule on that? Are they going to do that after the season's over?
Yes, I think it's going to be after the season's over. So
Okay.
they don't want to be doing that while there's people on the beach. So
You have a lot of handprints in the concrete.
So
Okay.
So if you don't mind, if the commission agrees, so if you don't mind just polling the commission.
Sure.
On that.
Robert?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, I've got a question. Bruce, do you know, is it all sand there? Is there going to be any spoils because they're going to have to dig down a little bit for the concrete pad?
I'm assuming it's mostly sand there, but definitely I see your point. We can make a note that, hey, whatever spoils come out of here that is not sand gets shipped somewhere else on site, and used. So I wasn't here when they built the footings for the building, but we could just make that stipulation.
Yeah,
Well, all that-
exactly.
Yeah, go ahead. All that
Yeah,
sand
no,
was
exactly.
brought
If
in.
it's suitable sand for reuse, then that's fine. But if it's a little bonier, then just dispose of it on site, reuse it on site
Exactly.
in an upland area.
Okay.
Good
All right.
suggestion. Thank you. Are there, well, okay, we'll go ahead and poll. Andre Simons, you have any questions for this?
I do not have any
Concrete?
questions.
Okay. And you're all right with it?
Yeah, it seems like it's a necessary revision. The deck, obviously, we can't have people splintering their feet, so yeah.
Okay, Rich Berlandy,
I'm fine with it.
okay. Mark Simpson put up a note that he was fine with it. Jay Tulin,
I'm fine with it. Thank you.
I'm fine with it, so we're unanimous that it doesn't require action from the
Awesome.
commission.
Thank you.
Yep.
The
Just
other
under the
item-
guidance of the work is done under the guidance of Bruce and the
Yep,
staff.
staff.
Yes, and
Perfect. Thank you for that. One more thing, the pickleball court. If you guys recall, this was converted from a tennis court to a pickleball court. Was it in the fall? I think it was in the fall. So this is the first year they've really started to use them. So there was they actually stayed within the limits of the fence, built the pickleball court within here. There was an old gazebo here that got taken down as well. So he called and while we were chatting about the boat ramp, he says, "Hey, I'm going to be putting a pavilion up here as well." So since there was already a gazebo there, I didn't think it was a problem, but I said I definitely would review it with the commission. So here's a picture of the new pickleball courts. So that new pavilion would go in this area here, and it's strictly going to stick with their typical pavilions they've been using: steel posts with a glue lam, timber arches, and roof. So they do have a plan in here. It's not much, but it just shows just shows the pavilion going in the area where the old gazebo was. So
they're replacing the gazebo with a pavilion.
yeah, exactly. They didn't bring this up during the permitting for the courts because I didn't think they probably thought they weren't gonna do anything. But I think due to the high demand of the pickleball courts now, they'd like people to get, people want to get out of the sun in between games and just sit down. So they wanted to build this little pavilion there. So I said I would run it by the commission as well.
But they've already done the changeovers on the courts?
Oh yeah, yep, that's right here. Those are all done. Those went from here's an
Those are
old
all
picture.
pickleball now?
Yeah, this was an old tennis court and whatever these other ones here, they converted them over to an all pickleball courts here. So they pretty much stayed within the existing confines. The sidewalk was part of the approval as well to access it. So they just want to put that pavilion right in here. So
Okay. And how close, I know the stream or the pond is off to the left there.
yep. From this side of the way.
Maybe-
Let's say it's roughly 84 feet, 85
Okay.
feet, so something like that.
All right, so are they gonna, well, they're gonna have to pour the supports, the pilot for the steel tubular posts.
Yep.
So that's about the only excavating, although wait, is this gonna have a concrete floor?
I don't know. That's just as you were talking about that. I forgot to ask if it would have a concrete floor. They don't make any mention of that here. It just says a pavilion. I could definitely bounce that off them, and if you don't mind, if they're not going to have a floor, then we could stay. Great. If not, we'll make the same comment. Whatever material they're removing, get it out of there and put it upland and stabilize it.
Yeah, I think that would be okay. I mean, they already I mean, it's basically replacing the pavilion, the gazebo with a pavilion.
Mhm.
I don't see a lot of change in the use. It's the pavilion's larger, but I guess it's a place to get out of the sun if you're waiting to play for a game, the next game or something.
Exactly.
So you want to pull the commission?
Yep,
See if
yes,
we're
I just
all
want
right
to
with
make sure
it,
everyone's
or-
in agree, you know, I always like to make sure the commission is in full agreement.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it, but we'll ask Andre.
No questions.
Okay, Rich Berlandi,
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Robert Eisner.
Guess I'll be the stick in the mud. I think because it's a new construction and it's within the regulated area, it probably should have an application.
Do you, I mean, would you feel that way if you knew it was only the concrete, man, I can't think tonight. You know, the
The piers or the
2-tier,
footings.
yeah. Or as opposed to, I would lean your way if this was gonna be a complete concrete floor. But if they're just gonna do the mini 36-inch tubes and build on top of it, then I could see that this, you know, do you wanna
just-
set it up
yeah.
that way? And
Yeah, can I ask, hey, Bruce, does this fall under, because there's an exemption for use as of right for residential property, and then there's also an educational exemption, correct?
Yeah, we tried the residential one we tried last time, but then somebody reminded me it's this side, this parcel's too large for that. It's more a minimum, it's a residential property with nothing more than a typical 2 acres, is kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, but I'm thinking if the purpose is gonna be to, you know, it enhances the facilities and that it's an outdoor educational type facility, then you know, if it
There is
fit
that
into
other
that
option.
exemption.
Yes, there is a wetland, there is a conservation, it's under the conservation section. So like you said, it's for educational uses and things like that. So,
So if it's tied to their outdoor education, then that, I'm just worried about the precedent of people building structures,
okay.
you know, in the regulated area without formally submitting an application.
yeah,
But I'm a single vote.
And look, I thought he was throwing we were talking so much about so much other stuff. I think if I'm not mistaken, this may be a fall project. I don't think they've ordered it yet. So I don't think it's so definitely if it's an application, it's not a problem. They can come back, submit the application, go through the process. I just because the boat ramp was first, he then asked me this. I said, look, I'm already going in for the boat ramp. I'll bring this up and I'll see what they feel. So
well, I'm with Robert on this. If this is gonna have a concrete floor, then I think they absolutely need an
Okay.
application. How about Mark? Mark, did you put anything up yet? I forgot.
where's Mark? Where's Mark?
Yeah, Mark said this construction is further from the wetlands and the courts. He's okay with the construction.
Okay.
Can you, I mean, we have a meeting in 2 weeks. Can you find out if this is
Yeah, I will.
what
I
the
will
base is
definitely do
gonna
that.
be, and then we'll decide on whether we want an application. And like you say, this is probably gonna be, you know, fall construction, so.
Okay. All right, I will do that for the commission, definitely. And then,
All right.
and then I'll bring this back for the 24th.
I
Okay,
didn't ask, Jay, what's your opinion?
Well, again, I guess this is kind of a partial thought, but after reading what Mark wrote, I was kind of thinking in my head, and I'm trying to remember the geography of where this is. If there was something that the commission needed to take action on, if it's further away from the wetlands, I'm not sure about the upland review. I'm not sure about this exemption. I was leaning towards maybe we did need to get an application, but you know, again, after reading what Mark said, I wasn't so sure. So I guess I'll follow the lead of everyone else. And, you know, if Bruce is going to come back with some other information for the next meeting, I guess that's okay.
Yeah,
So hopefully I made some sense there. I'm not sure I did.
no, it's fine. Let's hold off on without, until we get some more information and, and we'll find out what the floor is gonna be, and if
Perfect.
it's, I think it's full concrete, I don't know, even unless they're under some sort of tight schedule, um, an application shouldn't be that much of a problem.
Commissioner Iser brings up a great point, and like I said, please don't take this as I'm trying to push. He called me about the boat ramp, and then he actually threw this, and I said, look, let's just take care of it at the meeting. I'll talk with the commissioners at the meeting. So
Yeah,
let's put it on hold. I will talk to them, come back for the 24th with some more information.
okay.
Thank
Can
you.
I ask one other question? I just want to make sure
Sure.
I'm clear. So the new structure is the reason for an application because the structure is in an upland review area? Or does
Exactly.
that just-
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah,
Thank
if you look at the picture or the map there, one of them, you'd see the waterway that is, about 40, 50 feet from, yeah.
Okay,
That has the existing gazebo on there, and so they've moved the gazebo but the pavilion's going to be the same place, and you can see the waterway there in that photo. So it is pretty close.
okay, thanks, Ned
Mhm.
and Bruce and everyone else.
Okay.
You guys approve the minutes?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, on the planners report, when I was watching the meeting, minutes from last time, I was interested in that company about getting rid of the snotweed. Did they do that application yet?
Yeah, they did. They had put, oh no, sorry, it wasn't an application.
No,
We did
we
under it.
approved, yeah, we
approved it as,
right.
yes.
A
So he has
regulated,
not
we
started
approved
it
it.
yet. I don't
Yeah,
know.
regulated use.
Yep, and we asked them, I asked them to give me a call when it gets started because we wanted to be out there to see it. So I haven't heard from them yet.
Okay. Yeah, it would be interesting to see, how it works.
I told them the same thing. I said, because I said that we're always told to pull and then not to use anything, and this is supposedly a different process, so let's see how it works,
Yeah, right. Okay. Any other questions for the planners report? Okay, we've approved the minutes, so I'll adjourn the meeting at 8:24 and we'll open up the conservation. At 8:24. Is there any new business?
No,
No. Planners report?
nothing under planners report either. Oh,
Um,
you know what, I do have something that just updated from last night, just to give everyone a heads up, the council has approved that transfer of open space for the Banbury Crescent property. So that is done. So there's a couple of stipulations with regards to the setback, and the fencing and all that, so that's all gonna be incorporated possibly into the deed. Okay?
Okay. I have a general question. Does the town still doing that, fabric recycling program with the pink bags and stuff?
Geotech, no,
No.
that company had actually either stopped or gone under or something like that, so they're no longer doing that.
Okay,
I know that Shannon and Garrett are working on some kind of alternate plan, so.
okay. And so that's the plans report. Chair entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 19th, the Conservation Commission.
Okay, so moved. This is Jay. If no one else did that, I'll move that.
Okay,
I'll second Eisner.
all right, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain, I will abstain since I wasn't there.
Mark
And
typed in an aye.
Huh?
Yeah.
oh, Mark and I, and
Oh,
okay.
Mark typed an aye.
also.
Oh,
I keep forgetting to check those,
The chats aren't recorded.
yeah, so.
the meeting recording keeps the chat box?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No,
Oh.
it doesn't, so.
Okay, that's why, I didn't think it did, because that's why when I see his comments, I try and throw them up there.
Okay. All right.
So, I guess we're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.